So my guest today is Bert Jackson and the CEO of the Cape Cod Technology Council. And he has many other hats, some volunteer work, and he's a leader of a band, and he has great credentials here. So Bert, what's going on with the Cape Cod Technology Council?
Well, Jim, thanks so much for having me here today. I love coming here and telling the story of the Tech Council. Well, like a lot of organizations, we've had a lot of pivoting that we've done in the last 15 months with COVID, but we've actually been pretty successful with this. Our three main our three main focuses are technology, entrepreneurship, education, and policy in the region, and we execute those through our First Friday speaker series. We have a speaker comes. Pre-COVID, we had a nice breakfast for everybody. It was a live event, some networking, and discussed a variety of technology topics. We have an infrastructure committee that meets on a monthly basis to talk about how we can improve technology, broadband, the electric grid. We're also getting much more involved with sustainable energy here on the Cape going forward. And some new things that have come up is, with some of the social change that's happened, in the last year or so. We've been focused more on digital inclusion. In fact, our First Friday speaker in February was from the Marconi Society, which is a national organization on digital inclusion. And we've also been started a DEI committee, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're looking at ourselves to see where we're at. I'm very proud that over half of our board is women. Our board president is a woman. Our board vice president is a woman. The clerk of our corporation is a woman. So we've got a lot of women on our board. But from other diversity angles, we're not doing that well, and we want to broaden that, and we want to see bring other voices into the table and advocate for that. In technology, diversity is not as strong as it is in other areas, so we want to be a leading voice on that going forward. But one of the things that's happened is that in the past 15 months, we've pivoted completely from exclusively live events to all virtual events, and what the advantage to that has been that our speakers are no longer limited by geography. So whereas in the past for First Friday, our speakers were usually either Cape Cod residents or not too far off of Cape Cod, because they would have to drive here. On rare occasions we put somebody up in a hotel. But now, we've had speakers from as far away as California, Washington, D.C., Virginia, New York, and we have found that some pretty high-profile people love to come and talk to us. As I mentioned, the Marconi Society. We had some sustainable energy experts speaking in January. We've had Greentown Labs come and speak to us. They're from off Cape. The Mass Life Sciences Center was our First Friday speaker earlier this month. So lots of really good content is available. We've got some scheduled speakers coming up this fall on cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, Bitcoin. So a lot of great things. One of the other events that we've added as part of the mix is something we call Coffee Q&A. So while our First Fridays are more formal presentations, the speaker usually has a slide deck. The Coffee Q&A is more of a conversation. We focus more on local people. We've got the founder and executive director of the organization that's running the Mayflower autonomous ship, which is it's really a boat, but they call it a ship. And it's solar powered, it's run autonomously, there's no crew. And they were about to do a cruise across the Atlantic from England to our part of the world here. They had some technical issues, brought the crafts back, and are doing some updates on it. But he's going to be telling us about that story, and not only the story of the development of that, but kind of what it means going forward for maritime navigation. So that's very cool. From the infrastructure standpoint, we have been very involved with broadband on Cape Cod since the late 90s. There was an effort here called Cape Cod Connect that we were the point organization for, which was advocating companies at the time. I believe it was, I forget what the predecessor to Comcast and AT&T was here, but advocating for bringing broadband service, into Cape Cod, business broadband service, because we didn't have that here. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, we started to see DSL coming in, and then when AT&T took over from the previous company, they started bringing cable broadband in here, and that was part of our advocacy efforts going forward. And we've been strong proponents of Open Cape. Some of the ideas of Open Cape germinated in our infrastructure committee 13, 14 years ago. We're a big supporter of them. They support us, so it's a nice relationship, and it's good to see that coming to fruition in different areas. And now there's some exciting things happening in Falmouth. Falmouth has started their own broadband. They have their own broadband organization, nonprofit, whose mission is to put fiber throughout the town of Falmouth. It would connect into the Open Cape Middle Mile backbone, but they have I forget the URL, but you can find it on our website. And this organization they're looking for funding to do this. They figure it's going to take about $50 million to do it, and they're looking for funding. And especially now that we've got, infrastructure money is coming through from the government, hopefully, there might be some ways to do that and make this happen for Falmouth. And it would be a great model as a community model for other towns in the Cape to look at how they can have a broadband alternative to the sole incumbent provider that we have now.
Yeah.
So those are some of the cool things that are happening. We've also been strongly focusing this year on sustainable energy. I represent the Tech Council. I sit on the advisory board for the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, and as the Gene Curry, who chairs our infrastructure committee. And they're doing some great work on educating people in our region about climate change and the things that we can do. And so we're kind of focusing on the technology aspect of that. So how can we help people, solarize, what are some of the infrastructure things that are lacking, places to charge your electric vehicles. So we called April Earth Tech Month, and we actually had 5 presentations throughout the month on sustainable energy. We started on First Friday with Vineyard Wind. They gave an update on their offshore wind project and what's happening, as well as the second project. And we had presentations on electric vehicles. The Wolf brothers from Cape Air came and talked about electric airplanes, which was incredibly cool. I think it's one of the coolest things in the world. Greentown Labs was talking about some of their efforts, and we had some folks from UMass Amherst talking about agri-solar, putting solar panels on farms and having some of that synergy there. It was useful. So lots of things that are happening. We're excited about the programming we have going forward. Aside from that, we're also doing classes on getting your business online, some technology classes on web, email marketing, etc., for especially underserved businesses.
We are taking a break from our show to talk about gaining wisdom from our Success Ladder benchmark. Every software project has risk. This is a bet, just as much as buying a lottery ticket or going to casino. However, do you know your odds? Do you know how to improve your odds? Our Success Ladder benchmark gives you your odds of success by profiling your project against 50,000 cases in our chaos database. It also gives you hints on where you can improve your odds. There are only few inputs and 6 runs in the benchmark. After each run, the benchmark will indicate your chances of success. The Success Ladder benchmark is part of our membership. You can benchmark as many projects as you want and even play what-if games. You can change this or change that, and each run will tell you your chances of success. To get your Success Ladder benchmark, go to standishgroup.com. Now back to our show. What's your experience with the in-person? Because you always got like a good crowd. I mean, you filled up the room practically at the golf course with people. Are you seeing more or less people with the virtual style?
Honestly, I would say on average we're probably about 20 to 30% less virtually than we are live. and I'm not sure why that is. I think there's I think certainly now people have Zoom fatigue. There's been so much time that we've all spent online that it's like, oh God, another meeting, another presentation online. So I think the topics have to be really compelling, which is why we've really tried to up our game in terms of the quality of speakers that we have coming in. I'm really proud of the work that our program committee's done, and we have brought in this year, and we are continuing to bring in some very high profile speakers. So hoping that will help. And I would also love to see us be a destination not only for Cape Cod, but I mean certainly if you have Dr. Vince Cerf or some of the Bitcoin and some of the other folks speaking, that's applicable anywhere. So would love to be able to have a little bit more off Cape attendance to some of these events.
I want to thank our guest and our panelists for being part of the show, and thank you for being part of the show. I hope we have given you a few minutes of wisdom. We look forward to seeing you next time on Wisdom Wednesday. This is your host, Jim Johnson.